It's a real pleasure to be here, and I feel quite honoured to follow Hetty. It's going to be a bit of a change in pace, but I just wanted to, again, honour and respect Hetty's speech. So I have an issue that I'm extremely passionate about, and I have no doubt that you all in the room are passionate about it as well. And that's to see more women coming to the forefront of society and actually building the businesses that change the way we work, live and play. And for me, this passion focuses in on technology and technology entrepreneurship. Because I believe that technology has this amazing power right now to really change and scale the behaviours that we need to make massive change in our world. But for me, the concern comes in when we see how underrepresented women actually are within the technology space. In the US, women make up 10% of the founders of high-growth tech companies, and a recent report by Deloitte actually shows that only 4% of Australian startup founders are women. And I've been to that many technology conferences this year, and it's honestly rare to even see a woman on the lineup, which I do think is a big problem. But within all of these dismal numbers and the statistics that say we're not really welcome in this space, I do see signs of encouragement in the emerging collaborative consumption space, which is something that I'm really passionate about. And so what I wanted to talk to you today about was why I believe that the business of sharing is actually women's business. Oh. Enough? Okay, I'm on. All right. Thank you. So I believe the business of sharing is women's business. And basically, I wanted to talk to you today about why I think women have a unique opportunity to make their mark through collaborative consumption, to actually impact their communities and their society as well. So what is collaborative consumption? Well, over the last 2.5 years, I've worked with the author Rachel Botsman, who wrote the book What's Mine Is Yours, The Rise of Collaborative Consumption. And we have been exploring this emerging trend that's been spreading all around the world, connecting with the entrepreneurs who are making it happen and really documenting the growth of this trend. So when we talk about collaborative consumption, we're talking about a new breed of startups that are actually reinventing really old market behaviours, such as bartering, sharing, renting, lending, swapping. And they're allowing us to supercharge these behaviours to enable us to share and exchange all kinds of assets, whether that's the physical stuff that we own or our time, our skills and our space. So why does this matter? Well, the fact is that we all own far too much stuff, and we're on this constant hamster wheel of more and more stuff. And these businesses of collaborative consumption, everything from eBay onwards, are actually enabling us to connect to each other. And they're tapping into this principle of idling capacity, which is making the most of the stuff that we own, allowing us to use or access things rather than buy them outright, and even make a small amount of money by actually getting better use of our stuff. So these entrepreneurs are tapping into this and actually changing the way we think about consumption. And so over the last few years, I've had this amazing opportunity to travel the world and meet inspiring entrepreneurs who are actually driving this shift on the ground. Anywhere from the US to the UK, Europe, South Korea, Brazil, India, and right here in Australia. And the thing that really struck me, and the thing that I noticed most, is that this is a space where women are actually out in force. And it's quite rare, but it's quite noticeable. And I believe that this is because collaborative consumption actually has at its heart some of the key values that differentiate it from traditional business and entrepreneurship. And they're things that women are actually inherently attracted to and motivated by. So, our traditional business culture over the last few decades has been about, needless, senseless consumption, this constant focus on financial gain over social and economic gain. And what we're seeing now is that we've been prioritising our own needs over the needs of others and the needs of the community at large. And in contrast, collaborative consumption actually stands up and emphasises the renewed importance of community and collaboration in the way we live. And it's also refocusing in on the importance of sustainability and also efficient consumption. So these values that underpin collaborative consumption, I think, are things that women inherently understand and are in fact motivated by. And that's why I believe these women are actually spearheading the collaborative consumption movement around the world and setting a really strong example for other women. And one such example is Lisa Fox. She's a Sydney-based entrepreneur. And when Lisa first heard Rachel speak about collaborative consumption, she could immediately see the opportunity to connect all of the people who lived in her apartment building to share and exchange their stuff. When they needed a drill, they could actually knock on the next door neighbour and actually borrow that drill. But actually, after doing a bit of research, she found that there was no platform that really enabled people to do this safely and securely. So, of course, within 12 months, she'd quit her job at the government and launched Open Shed with her partner Duncan, as you do. And essentially what OpenShed is a rental platform where people can rent out anything from their neighbours. So you can literally now get anything from a lawnmower to a porta cot to a hot dog maker peer-to-peer, and actually make the money. Rather than buying things all the time, you can get access to the things that you need, and also you can make money out of the assets that are sitting idle. But for Lisa, it wasn't about the spare change that people could make that motivated her to start OpenShed. What she could see was the opportunity for communities all around the country to actually be connected to each other, to share and exchange these assets and realize the true value of what they have, and actually also be able to make connections in the same vein and create a platform for people to be able to help each other out more easily. And it's these stories of connection that actually motivate Lisa to continue with OpenShed when she hears of people's experiences and the great connections that they've made with people around her, and that's what keeps her going. So it's this idea of community that is absolutely a backbone of the collaborative consumption movement, the idea that we're all better together when we can actually share our resources. And in fact, it's something that women are proven to be motivated more by. A recent study of business school graduates showed that women prioritise making an impact on society and being heavily involved in their community 10% more than men do. So this idea of community is actually a key driver that we should be using to our advantage in business. Another community-minded spirit who's driving the collaborative consumption movement forward is Danya Cheskis-Gold, who is community manager for Skillshare. And Skillshare is a global marketplace for peer-to-peer education, where anyone who has something to offer can actually teach that class, and people can literally take classes on anything. Joining the company as their second employee pre-launch, Danya absolutely got the potential of Skillshare. But not just because people could actually, learn anything that they want to, but she could see this opportunity to empower people to tap into their skills, their unique assets and talents that they may otherwise not be tapping into. How often do our day jobs only satisfy, a small part of us when we have the other interests that we can actually share with people, if only the platform enabled that? So through her work with Skillshare, Danya has actually been enabled to empower people to recognise these talents. People like Jennifer Barbour, who's a mother of two from Maine in the US. And Jennifer actually uses Skillshare's online platform to tap into her specialist knowledge as a marketer and blogger. And she teaches a class on building community through blogging, all from the comfort of her own home, which is a pretty big deal. So she's actually able to keep her skills up while she might be looking after the kids in the off times where she's not working. So this idea of empowerment and actually getting people to recognise their own unique skills is something that, again, is an intuitive female instinct. It's probably no coincidence that women make up 85% of the community sector in Australia, because these incentives of empowering and supporting others is an absolute key motivation when we're choosing what kind of work we want to do. So through collaborative consumption, these women are actually finding a way to empower people and actually scale that empowerment, not just one-to-one, but one-to-many, which is a hugely powerful thing. And another woman who's building on this idea of empowerment is Leah Buskey. Leah is the founder of TaskRabbit, which is an errand marketplace that enables anyone who has something they need done to actually list that task online, and a group of vetted and background check runners will actually bid on that task to do it for you. Who thinks that sounds like a pretty amazing idea? I'm sure your laundry lists are that long. Well, there's some really amazing tasks. The average task is also being posted on TaskRabbit, from cleaning or grocery shopping, or to the more unique things such as wait in line for me at the Apple store for the new iPhone. People are doing all sorts of things. And what Leah realised, she's obviously enabled busy people to get stuff done, or people who need help to actually outsource those jobs. But what she could see was an opportunity to actually reinvent the labour market and rethink the way we do things. And she's actually enabled a whole group of people to become micropreneurs or micro-entrepreneurs, where they're enabled and empowered to make and save money off their assets, whether that's their skills, their time, or again, the stuff that they actually own. And what's perhaps more interesting is the fact that who's actually doing this work. Of the TaskRabbit runners, 50% are actually female, with 12% being young female professionals and 15% stay-at-home mums, which is a number that's growing. These people are looking for flexible ways to do the work and actually be able to contribute either to get some extra disposable income or to contribute to the household finances. And it's this, women are no stranger to the idea of inflexible workplace culture. And the fact is we either have to remove ourselves completely for a time, especially if we're going to be the primary caregiver, or actually, make a lot of trade-offs that don't make life that enjoyable. So through this idea of micro-entrepreneurship, Leah's actually enabled people to tap into the flexibility that's offered with work when we use technology. And as Leah recently said, TaskRabbit offers women the flexibility to work hours that suit their hectic schedule and actually make a little bit of money that can contribute to the household finances. So this key principle of flexibility is actually enabling a whole group of people who've actually previously been left out of meaningful work opportunities. And actually, the people who are going to benefit most from this change is, of course, women. So these three foundations of collaborative consumption, community, empowerment, and flexibility, are where I believe women have a natural advantage to actually take control of this space and lead it, to allow it to have the kind of impact we want to see in society. And it's an advantage that I think we generally are all interested in, because when you look at what's happening with technology, the real problem that we see there is the fact that women aren't even encouraged or finding it a viable option to actually learn about technology, which is a problem that I see in collaborative consumption being able to scale. With only 14% of people entering into higher education in maths and sciences actually being women. So we have this problem where the need is not going to be met by people who are actually learning about these skills. And that's because I think when you think about the careers in technology, or even being a technology entrepreneur, it's usually devoid of these three characteristics: community, empowerment, and flexibility, that we find so important, because you're usually sitting behind a computer and actually disconnected from the impact that you're having in the real world. But with collaborative consumption, I feel like we have been able to build a bridge between these two areas, between technology and humanity, which we need to encourage more women to cross. And I think the other part of it is we need to celebrate the women who are actually doing great work in this space. So as we move away from this 20th century of hyperconsumption, women also have an incredibly important role to play as empowered consumers by driving the collaborative consumption space forward, because the fact is that they make 80% of household purchasing decisions. And as we move forward to this 21st century of collaborative consumption, which we believe is defined by reputation, by community, and by shared access, I have absolutely no doubt that women will play a leading role. And I believe, and I'm sure you all believe, it's one that we were born to play. Thank you.